Welcome to today's episode of Sassy Detectives. We're your hosts, Tori
and Rae.
We're here to talk about anything and everything Nancy drew, and today we'll be talking about Legend of the Crystal Skull. Roll the intro. Okay,
so
Rae.
This game is one of my favorites. Just based on vibes alone.
It's so vibesy.
Like you can't get more vibey than this game, you know? Like
there's something like I don't know, intriguing and like really sells like it almost gives kind of more like an like old school mystery, like noir vibe with like the rain and it's nighttime and you see Nancy's silhouette walking around outside, and I think it gives kind of like a noir charm to it too.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about this game is the very first thing that happens in the game is you get this little this note on the screen that says to play this room in the dark, turn off the lights, close the windows, or wait till night to play it and stuff. Because it's a very dark game, and, you know, it will be hard to see the game in a light area. But also, the vibes!
Yeah, it gives extra spooks if you're sitting in the dark playing this.
Oh yeah, the spooks, this game is just... I love it. Is the mystery the best? Maybe not. I still like it, but it's such a fun game, and I just love this game. It's so much fun, and it's such a Nancy Drew game, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's such a Nancy Drew game.
Okay, so do you wanna lead us through the mystery?
Yes!
Okay.
I love this one. Okay, so we start off. So what we're doing in this game is that Nancy is in New Orleans with Bess. They're on a little vacay, and Ned has asked Nancy to check in on his old college friend. And by friend, we mean that in, like, a loose definition, because apparently, like, Ned didn't really know him all that well. He was just, like, a concerned...
Friendly toward him?
Yeah, concerned and friendly toward him. And so, you know, his friend's uncle, who was basically his only family, just died, and so now his friend, Henry Bolley Jr., is just alone in this mansion, and he is going through all, like, the funeral stuff, and all the business part of, you know, somebody dying and leaving you a bunch of stuff. And so that's, you know, what he's asking Nancy to do. So Nancy, she takes a taxi and goes to the mansion, and it's on a cemetery, and it's such a cool mansion, aside from the fact that it doesn't have a kitchen or a bathroom, and that's a little bit problematic, but I suppose it's fine. I can deal with it. The vibes are there. We can deal with that. We can get takeout and use an outhouse.
To be fair, there are a lot of Nancy Drew locations that have no bathroom.
Yeah, they just have no bathroom, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm fine with that. But, yeah, so you go in, and, well, once you get to the door, you know, the door is unlocked. And you're like, huh. And it's not just unlocked, it's slightly open. And so Nancy's like, okay, this is weird. She goes in, she's like, hello, is somebody there? And she turns into, it's like the main hall or the living room-ish place, or the drawing room or something. Yeah, but anyway, she turns right and looks in there, and there is a dark figure, a dude, right in front of this table that's a model of the cemetery. And she's like, hey, who are you? And he turns around, and it's this dude in this skeleton mask and top hat with a red skeleton vest and everything. And Nancy's like, what?
I definitely screamed the first time I played this game.
Oh yeah, me too. Like, you know, as a kid, a weird skeleton dude, and then, like, he throws smoke and pops up and then comes he disappears because the power goes out from the storm.
Mm-hmm.
And Nancy's like, wait, where is he? And then you, like, see smoke, and then he knocks you out. And so, you're unconscious now.
Yeah.
But then you wake up, and you are in a chair in this library study room. And there's this older woman in front of you. She has the white hair, the gardening hat, just looks like your stereotypical older woman who gardens, except for the pouch of stuff around her neck, but we'll get into that. And then she's like, oh, here you go, dear. And she hands you this smoothie-looking drink that's very suspicious. And she's like, oh, it'll help you, dear. And Nancy's like, and you can decide whether or not you will drink it. There's no consequences to it. It's just whether you're going to drink it or not. And I never drink it because I don't know what's in that.
I think I've drunk it before, but I think I usually decline it.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want that right now. Like, yeah, I don't trust it. It looks like swamp water, but like concentrated and with flour in it. Like she stirred flour and swamp water, and you get this weird light green consistency. And I do not trust that. I don't think it would taste good. And like behind Nancy, you can also hear somebody else talking, and he's like, "Oh, great! And now I have to be on hold with this company, and that's Henry." And the person in front of you is Renee Amand, and she was Bruno Bole's housekeeper, and she still does stuff on the property and stuff right now, like mostly gardening.
Mm-hmm.
And Henry Bole Jr., right behind him, is, he's the person Nancy's supposed to talk to, so Nancy can get up and she can talk to him. And
okay, I have a important question for you before we move on. Are you a Henry girly?
Not as much as my sister is.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I am not really a Henry girly either.
I adore him.
Yeah.
I would probably die for him. Like, would I date him? Maybe, but he would treat me right. You know how we said that?
Yeah,
like,
we said
it's
that.
like that. He deserves the world, okay? Like,
yeah, I like Henry.
And we'll
like,
get
I think
into that.
He's a good character. I like talking to him. I think he deserves the world, but I don't consider myself like a Henry girly, Yeah,
I love Henry. I love him. But then you can go and you can talk to Henry, and I do want to comment on one thing with this game is that for 2007, was it 2007?
Yes, October 8th, 2007.
Yeah, for 2007, these graphics are pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they still hold up pretty well.
Yeah, they hold up really well, especially in this game. Like, some of the other games, the graphics don't hold up that well, but this game, like, I don't know, the graphics for this game just haven't gotten old for me, like some of the other ones have. I don't know, maybe it's the lighting, maybe it's, other factors, but I don't know, this game just has amazing graphics that I just really like for some reason. But anyway, you can talk to Henry about, Bruno Bolle and stuff, and he explains, oh, this is really complicated and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of complicated stuff with business, and I don't care to talk about it or remember the business parts, because I don't like business.
I think the more important thing is that there's a lot to look at in the library.
There is so much to look at. Like, everywhere. There's all these books. There's, like, isn't there, like, a model ship or something? Or, like, there's a bunch of, like, trophies.
There's all of the, like, trophies.
Yeah. And there's also an iguana, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
But you can talk to, yeah, and when you talk to Henry, you learn a lot of things about Bruno Bolle. He was a dentist. And he also had a glass eye.
Yeah.
And by a glass eye, I mean he had several. And each of them is pretty weird. I think there's probably like maybe one normal looking glass eye, maybe two, but so many of them are so weird. But
I would
anyway,
be scared if I went to the dentist and my dentist had like a cat eye.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because like some of the eyes, or like that one red eye that kind of looks like the eye of Sauron.
Yeah.
You know, like imagine you're at the dentist. Okay, you're at the dentist, and you're like, I don't have a fear of dentists. That's stupid. I am an adult. And then your dentist looks down on you with lizard eyes. Or like some kind of bright red bloody eye, and you're just like, what? I would crap my pants on that operating table, on that
operating
chair
table.
thing. I would be like,
you went to the dentist and Bruno Bollet sawed you open? What are you saying?
Listen, I'm tired. I had a work day today.
Me
and
too.
It's really boring I get really tired when I have nothing to do at work.
It's like almost more draining to have nothing to do. Yeah.
No, there's literally nothing to do, and so I would just go around trying to find anything to do, and that was so exhausting for some reason. But anyway, just imagine going to the dentist and having that as your dentist. They'd have to have, like, you know those little pills that they give you for anxiety before you do a dental surgery or something?
Yeah.
They'd have to give me that for just the dental appointment. Like,
gosh.
Just like,
yeah. I would just find another dentist, I think.
Find another dentist.
There's gotta be another one in town.
Yeah. But anyway, so we learned that about Bruno Bollet, and apparently he had glass eyeball for almost every day. But he would constantly be changing out his glass eyeballs and stuff. And, you know, that's a little weird. But anyway, you can turn around and go back into the hall room place where you first went in and you saw the skeleton man. And so you can go and you can look at the cemetery, and there's a few cool little miniature things that have cool effects. And then there's this one thing it's the one of the mausoleums, and it has this little code thing, this little lock on it where you have to match up symbols to get it open, but you don't know what the symbols are. So puzzle time. And then there's another thing that you can pick up and open, and there is some people's first glass eyeball. And for me, that was also my first playthrough. Because I was like, I'm not going to check the model cemetery again. I already found a glass eyeball with the lock thing. And so I had to actually look on the forums to find out, where is my last glass eyeball?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, oh, yeah, it's just in that one little building on the table. And I was like, I feel so stupid. But I was also a kid, so I give myself that. Not me saying that as if I wouldn't do the same thing as an adult.
Oh.
But anyway, so there's also like a little coffee table puzzle that is really fun that you can do. It's actually not fun on senior. Yeah, it's not fun on senior.
No.
It's very fun on junior, but on senior it made me want to throw my computer, which I don't want to do because I can't afford it. So there's that. But then you can look in the fireplace, and you can see a burnt receipt from a store called Zeke's.
Zeke's.
Suspicious. And you can also take the coal in there, because who knows? You might need coal.
You might.
Nancy
It's
yet again grabbing. No, it's not. The weirdest thing she's picked up was probably the butter.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like
out of all the things,
she put that in her pocket or something.
Yeah, like she's put a lot of weird things in her pockets, but like half melted butter is one of the worst.
We'll talk about that in that game, though.
We'll talk about that in that game. She puts a lot of weird stuff in her pockets in this game, though. Like,
yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there. It gets weird.
So
But anyway,
charcoal,
so
a burnt receipt.
yeah, yep. And then you can also call Bess. And when you call Bess, she is on at their hotel room. She's on the balcony, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm at the balcony. Hi, Nancy." And Nancy's like, "Hey, I just found this receipt, and it says it's from a place on Rampart and Dumaine, and is that the street?"
Yes, and
name?
I know this
Yeah,
because
yeah.
when I went to New Orleans, I found the corner of Rampart and Dumaine, and I took a picture there.
It's so cool. It's so cool. That's like one of the coolest things you've ever told me, and I'm still someday hoping to go there and take my picture there too.
New Orleans is really cool. I recommend it.
Well, it's got jazz and Cajun food, so
Yeah, and
yeah.
beignets, and yeah, it's fantastic.
Listen, beignets are literally to die for.
To die for.
I would both kill and die for a beignet, like a really good one. Like that's how good they are. But anyway, back on topic. You can call Baz, and she's like, "Oh, that's where we are. Like that, that's where Zeke's is." And Nancy's like, "Cool. Could you go in and ask about this receipt number?" And Baz is like, "I really don't want to." And Nancy's like, "Please." And Bess is like, "Okay, fine." I love Bess in this game so much.
Yeah, Bess is a literal trooper.
I love her. She's also kind of a menace in this game as well.
Yeah.
We'll get there, very soon. But anyway, she goes into the curio shop called Zeke's, and this is one of the most fun locations in any of the games.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a ton of interacting you can do with the stuff, but it's just there's so much detail in it, Like there's the magic toaster that makes the toast look like different symbols and stuff.
Oh, doesn't it like burn like a fleur de lis or something?
Yeah. And but if you look in the back, there's also something that Lamont uses. I don't know if it's like paint or powder or something, but he uses it to fake those
Oh, yeah.
toasts. Yeah. Which is one of my favorite little details. But anyway, you can look around. There's like this weird mummy that you can open the casket of and grab something from its hand, which is something that you can use to get an Easter egg. There's weird books. There's the sneezing powder, and was it giggling powder or hiccup powder?
I think both, right?
Maybe hiccuping was the one that Nancy gets later on. But no, there was itching powder.
I think there's
What was
4 in the cabinet.
Yeah. Because one's missing. Wait, no, because... And then we take one.
We take the sneezing powder, I know that.
Yeah. But anyway, so you can go up and you can talk to the guy and share. Oh my gosh, I forgot the cryptid, the pickled cryptid.
Oh yeah,
oh my
the
god,
pickled dog cryptid thing.
It looks like it's like, what is it? Like, okay, let me see if I can find a picture of it. Because like, I still don't know what it is.
Did you ever get jump scared by tapping on the glass and it like bloops?
Yes.
Yeah. I was like tapping on the glass and then it was like and I was like, ah!
Yeah, okay, let me see. 'Cause I need to find a picture of it so I can try to describe it. I can't. There's like no pictures of it. Where is it? Okay, there is. It's like, I don't know what it is. I do not know what it is, but I don't know. I just know it freaked me out as a kid.
It's kind of doggish, but it has like a weird beaver tail. I don't know.
Manatee-ish. I kind of remembered a manatee. I think I'm just misremembering it. But I just remember how weird it was and how you can tap on it and the cursor changes when you tap on it, and it freaked me out so much as a kid, but I love it now because I don't know what the heck it is. I legitimately am at a loss for how to describe it other than pickled cryptid, which I got from a Tumblr post, but I can't find it anywhere now. But I do want to immortalize that Tumblr post on my wall. I want to like print it out or something.
Okay.
But anyway, the pickled cryptid, very, very important,
Very.
in my opinion. But anyway, you can talk to Lamont, and I love Lamont so much. He is too good for this world because this world is terrible to him, and by this world I mean Bess. Um, so Bess goes up to talk to him, and she's like, "Hey, I just want to ask about this," and he's like, "Oh yeah, that was a box of assorted items. That's all I can say about it." And Bess is like, "Aww." And he's like, "Yeah, it's in the back still." And since Bess really wants to get this from Nancy, this information about what was there, she can, we have this hilarious, puzzle. It's one of those chain reaction puzzles.
Yeah, it's like a Rube Goldberg or whatever it's called.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite puzzles in all of the games ever.
I think it's really fun. I have seen a lot of people get really angry at it. I think it's kind of fun, though.
Yeah. It is so much fun. Like, when I first played it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually, like, really fun. Because you can be like, oh, there it goes. And, it's really fun. But what Bess does is she organizes this chain reaction to where if she has Lamont get something on the shelf, a bunch of stuff happens, and then it ends with sneezing powder being blown in his face. And
which is really
mean. This poor man is sitting there having an allergic reaction or something, just sneezing his face off. And Bess is like, "Oh no, that's so terrible that this happened. Let me help you." And he's like, "They're sneezing. There's no spray in the back room. Get it for me." And he's, dying.
Yeah.
And so not Nancy. Well, she's acting like Nancy here. But Bess goes into the back. Does not grab the nose spray for him. She snoops in the box. And in that box, there is a picture of a young boy and his dog. And one of the things that I always remember is when Bess picks up the picture and she's like, "Cute dog."
Yeah.
I always remember the comment about the cute dog. But then it says Bruno and blank. You can't see the dog's name. But you have Bruno. And so we're like, oh, now see Bruno as a kid. And then you can also see a picture of an iguana, one of my favorite characters, in a pirate costume. And there's also a skeleton man costume. Ring any bells?
Mm-hmm. We got bamboozled by one earlier.
Oh yeah, we got bamboozled. And then we open, and then there's also this, like, lockbox thing. And then there's this letter thing that has, like, Hamlet numbers and stuff. And then one of the notes on it is that's like, I can't find any of these passages in Hamlet. And so, those numbers are supposed to be something to solve a puzzle with. And so you can you can use all of those puzzles and stuff, and you use them to get the password to open the box, and you can look in the box, and there's a letter about authenticity, about a crystal skull or something, and the Whisperer, as it is called, and there's this indentation in the box of a human skull. So, we're already getting somewhere with this phone call. Yeah. So you can now call Nancy, and sometimes, like, if you choose before calling Nancy to get the nose spray, you can grab the nose spray and be like, I should get this to Lamont. But I always forget it, and so I never get that whole, like, did Bess actually help Lamont? Poor Lamont. Poor Lamont. But then you can call Nancy and tell her everything, and it switches back to Nancy's POV. And Nancy's like, oh, cool, an iguana, a skeleton man costume, a skull indentation. Sweet. Yeah. Awesome. And then you can talk to Henry about that, I think. Or do you look at the... I forgot what you do at this part, but anyway, you can go and you can look around more, and in the Great Hall, where there's the miniature cemetery, there's also a bunch of family portraits, and one of them is missing. And these portraits are, like, really weird. You know those photo booths that you sit up at, like, a random party, and you grab random props to use for it? That's, like, what it feels like these portraits were going for. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, it's giving like tired party guest
Yeah.
trying to make a memory.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
There are also
yeah,
lots of puzzles that you can do in the Great Room. Like, there is, I know you can get another glass eyeball in the model of the 40 Winks Mausoleum.
yeah, that's the one that killed me.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the
that's...
one in the trophy was the one that killed you.
No, it was the one in the 40 Winks little model that because, you know, we have this entire puzzle where you open up that one mausoleum and you find the eyeball.
Yeah.
Or was it a key? Yeah, it was a key, not an eyeball.
Oh, yeah.
And so I thought, oh, we already found something there. So there's not another thing hidden there. And I was wrong, but I was also a child. Anyway.
And then there's also this coffee table puzzle where you, like, kick the little thing around, the little marble around.
The marble puzzle, yeah, that's the one that I said was really fun in junior, but made me want to throw my computer in senior detective.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that one...
I don't know why my brain is lagging.
We've had days at work today. We've had weird days. But yeah, and then there's also this little rubbing of, you know, how, you know, like in Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon, it'd take a rubbing of the stuff on the walls with the stone and the pencil. But there's this rubbing on the floor of a bird. Is it like a crow or a raven or something?
Yeah. And then there's like a shoe print on it.
Yeah, there's a shoe print on it, and you're like, this must be dropped by the skeleton man. And so that is very suspicious, and that is a clue, and it also matches some of the symbols that you see on that one mausoleum thing that has the locks on it. So you're like, ha ha ha, now I know what to do with this. And you can go into the cemetery and look at it but like, I don't have any paper. I have a piece of coal that I stole from the fireplace before I even knew I needed it.
Yeah.
But I don't have any paper. And so you can then go and talk to Henry and ask if he has paper. He's like, no, I don't have any. But you can also ask him about the portraits, and he's like, yeah, those are the family people. The one with my parents in it is missing. I don't know why. I'm depressed. I think you can also ask him about the iguana, or...
Yeah, I think you can ask him about the iguana after Bess has seen the picture.
Yeah, and so you can ask him about that, and he's like, oh yeah, that's Iggy, he steals paper. Just like anything papery, he steals it, apparently, like letters, paperwork.
Yeah.
It's a hobby. We let Iggy have his hobbies. We do not judge if it's not harming people, which it really isn't, I guess.
Yeah.
It's making things really complicated, but anyway. Then you can go talk, and then he also says to go ask Renee for some paper. And she can go outside and talk to Renee and stuff. And she says a lot of really weird stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, not just like the being involved in the hoodoo stuff, but she also is like, this pouch around my neck, it's my special pouch. It's got these things that keep me connected to the world. And Nancy's like,
uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff like that. What else are you
supposed to say, you know? Like,
yeah.
Okay, so anyway, do you have some paper?
Yeah, and so she gives Nancy a key to her bedroom, and she says something really mean when she does this, because she's like, "You, I trust with my key. Henry, I do not." Because she keeps dogging on Henry, like, "Oh, he's so depressing. He's so morose and cruel and stuff." And I'm just like, Henry,
Which I
that
think it's kind
little
of weird
goth
that
boy.
Nancy has been here for like an hour. And
Yeah.
Renee automatically trusts her more than Henry. At least Henry has a connection to his
Yeah.
house. Why is Nancy here?
Yeah, like there is literally no reason not to trust Henry, except for like him being mad at his uncle for not keeping papers on everything,
Yeah.
aside from the ones that Iggy stole, and also leaving all of this crazy business stuff for Henry to do. Like, I just wow. Anyway, I love Henry, and Renee needs to get a reality check because why are you giving somebody you've known for like 10 minutes your key? Anyway, so you can go into Renee's room, and this is like the biggest jump scare in the game. You go in there, and you can look around and stuff, and there's like red paint on the walls, and there's like this whole tear in the wall, and it's really freaky, and there's all this like these symbols around it, and you're like, that's suspicious. And then you can turn around, and as you're turning around, there's this rocking chair in the middle of her room, and it's like raining at night and stuff. There's a thunderstorm, so there's a thunderstorm. There's a little lightning strike. Ka-chow, but not that kind of lightning.
You found a way to slip it in, didn't you?
But anyway, there's a lightning strike, and then things go black, and then a freaky doll from Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon is sitting there staring at you on the rocking chair. Which one was it? Was it Naughty Tina?
I think it's Naughty Tina, and it makes me go.
Yeah, every time I'm like, huh?
Yeah,
it's huh.
But see,
anyway, yeah,
I think it is scary, but I also think it's super scary when you turn around and you look at the like red paint signs all over the wall.
Yeah,
and I'm like, what the flip is that?
Yeah, that's one thing that I love about this game is that it has like no supernatural elements to it. Like there's no haunting. There's nothing really supernatural except for the whole like, is the crystal skull real or not kind of thing. But like there's nothing like ghosty or like monstery about anything. But
it's just
still
the people
is
are
one
scary.
Yeah, it's just, yeah. But it's still one of the spookiest games, and I love it so much. But yeah, and there's but anyway, so you can go in her room, and she also has I think the hiccuping powder is the one that she has in her room.
Yeah, I think so.
And Nancy opens that, and she has a hiccup attack for a few seconds. Then you can go into Renee's little nightstand, and when you look in there, she has not only paper, but she also has the Cocoa Kringles. And when Renee gave you the key, she's like, while you're up there, get me a Cocoa Kringle bar from my room and take one for yourself. You've earned it. And so Nancy can eat as many Cocoa Kringle bars as she desires.
Or until she gets sick.
Yeah. Well, I always make her get sick like at least 4 times because I think it's funny that she just like throws up on Renee's floor and then leaves.
Yeah.
Because like,
can you
I love
imagine
Nancy
being Renee and you come back up and all your Cocoa Kringles are gone and there's vomit on the floor?
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah.
Nancy. Oh, Nancy. Well, anyway,
you can
there's
also open her blanket chest too.
Yeah, you can also open her blanket chest. Or wait, is it locked first? Or
yeah, and you have to just like recreate the pictures
Yeah.
using the little buttons.
Yeah, and that one is both an easy and a hard puzzle, and it's
It's kind of like partly memory, unless you like write down and
Yeah.
number everything.
Which I did actually. I have this little notebook where I keep all of my Nancy Drew notes, and I've had that diagram that I've drawn since like 2019, and I keep using it. I used to have this little folder where I would where I just take a lot of scrap paper and write all my notes there, and then keep that in my folder. But I lost that folder. I don't know where it is. But
Yeah. My
anyway,
Nancy Drew notebook has a little graph as well.
yeah, it's my notes are so weird sometimes. Like the most yeah, they're weird. But anyway, that's the only way I ever solved this puzzle because I do not bother to learn it with memory. But anyway, you can look in her chest. She has this little guide to hoodoo symbols, and so you can look at the wall and translate them. And I forgot what they are.
Baza Lupa
But,
di Muka. I'll never forget.
Damn, girl. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, so we have that, and then you can go down with and talk to Renee, and you can be like, "Hey, what's that? Red writing on the wall?" And she's like, "Oh, there was an evil spirit in the wall, and so I had to write down the words on the wall to, you know, I don't know." And so Nancy's like, "Okay, cool.
Bye.
Bye."
Yeah.
And so now you have the paper and you have the charcoal, and you can go to the Bully Mausoleum, which is where the rubbings are. And so you can take rubbings of them, and that's cool. And then you can take those, you can go back to the Great Room and look at the model cemetery, and then do all the puzzle stuff for that, solve it with the things, and there's a key inside. So now you can go back to the Bully Mausoleum, and this is one of the most sad scenes.
Yeah.
Because Nancy walks up there and she sees Henry sobbing.
In the rain.
In the rain.
Literally straight out of a movie.
Yeah. Yeah, like he's crying. And then Nancy's just standing there and he looks and then he runs away. And Nancy's just like, yikes, okay.
Yeah.
Like, normally, like Nancy will make a comment about something, but she just says nothing. And she's like, okay, well, I better get back to snooping.
Yep.
And so she looks inside, and you can look at a lot of the, headstones and stuff, and then you can find this rolled-up canvas, and it happens to be the portrait of Henry's parents in there, you know, with the weird, symbols and stuff in it, where they hold weird objects. Yeah, it's weird. But then you can go back and you can put that on the wall. And
I think at this point you can also find Iggy in the library.
Yeah. So you can also look for Iggy in the library. And yeah, when Iggy and you're like, huh. I wonder if that thing is, you know, not a model thing of it. And turns out, yeah, it is. And he jumps up and he, like, scampers away, and it makes all the books that he was sitting on, like, scatter all over the place. And so Henry's like, okay, please pick them up.
Back.
I can't do that right now. Please. So Nancy does, and so it's one of those puzzles where you have to line everything to fit perfectly in the box.
One of my favorite kinds of puzzles, I will admit.
These puzzles are so much fun. I love them so much. This is what makes me really good at packing, you know? Like, if you ever want to go packing, if you ever want help packing for a trip, like, contact me. I'm really good at packing specifically because of these games, but I'm guessing if you're listening to this podcast, you're also familiar with these games, so you probably don't need my help with packing, and you probably don't live near me anyway. So
you have to pay for my travel to come to you to pack your suitcase for travel.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
But then you can look, and there's a book there by our lovely friend Beatrice Hotchkiss from
Professor
Treasure in the... But then we have that by our wonderful Professor Beatrice Hotchkiss, and it's about the crystal skulls, fact or fable. And it's about the legend of the crystal skull and about like the whisperer and stuff. And so you can't, and there's also this paper in it. It has like these letters on markings and stuff, and this paper comes in to be important. But then you can contact Professor Hotchkiss, and she is amazing. I love her so much. Everything she says is iconic, you know?
She like doesn't
And
remember Nancy at all, which I think is kind of
no!
weird.
Doesn't she say something about like, oh, were you at the cheese factory, Francine?
Yeah.
Something like that. Why would I go to Wisconsin if it wasn't for the cheese or something
Yeah.
along that line? But she's like, no, it was the castle. And she's like, no, I remember you from the cheese. But anyway, and so you can ask her about like Bruno Ballet and stuff, and she's like, "Oh, I remember Bruno Ballet. He contacted me about the skull. He called me and stuff." And so, she's like, "Yes, and he told me something really weird. The eyes have it. I don't know what he meant by that. You know, Hotchkiss stuff. But then
Yeah.
you can talk to Henry again, and you can ask about how Bruno died, and it was basically a heart attack. And he's like, yeah, here's the death certificate. The person who signed it was his best friend, Gilbert Buford. He's a doctor in town and stuff. And there's also this glass eyeball keychain that's resting on top of it. It's also a really freaky glass eyeball. It's like a rectangular pupil, like what a goat has,
Yeah.
which is really freaky when
Yeah.
you're looking into the eyes of a goat, but it's even freakier when you're in the dentist's chair and you look up and the person drilling into your teeth is looking down at you with a single goat eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I can't get that image out of my head.
Yeah. I know. Me either.
Imagine taking your kid to the dentist, and your kid is scared of going to the dentist because, kids are scared to go to the dentist. That's one of those things. And they're like, oh, don't worry, the dentist isn't freaky at all. There's nothing creepy about going to the dentist. But unfortunately, your dentist is Bruno Ballet.
Yeah.
I can't. Such a freaky dude. Gotta love him, though. But then you can talk about, the crystal skull with Renee Amond too, and she's like, I didn't know about that. And then apparently Renee was one of the people who like found him and tried to, get help or something, and called Gilbert Buford. And you can now you can call Gilbert Buford because you saw his phone number and stuff, and he's not in the office. And she's like, okay, like, where would he be? Because I really need to talk to him. And he's like, well, you can find him at the gumbo stand at the corner of Rampart and Dumaine. And Nancy's like, Rampart and Dumaine? And so she calls
I know
Bess.
where that is. Bess?
Yeah, like, that's immediately what she does. And she's like, that's where we are. So she calls Bess, and Bess is like, you want me to talk to somebody? Oh, I'm not doing your work for you again, Nancy. And now that there's, the gumbo stand, you can get a bunch of stuff there. You can get the crawfish. Was it crawfish? Yeah,
Yeah, you can get crawfish, you can get gumbo. And I think there's one other thing.
Yeah, it's the jambalaya. Yeah. And every time I go down there, I always crave gumbo because I love gumbo. Jambalaya. So good. I'm allergic to shellfish, so jambalaya is not as much of a thing for me.
You can make jambalaya without shrimp. You could do like just like andouille sausage.
Yeah, sausage
or chicken. Chicken jambalaya is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, but we used to have these family friends that were from Louisiana, and whenever they'd come up, they'd make like jambalaya and gumbo. And before I knew I was allergic to shellfish, I didn't like the smell of shellfish, so I never got near it.
Oh.
So I never had the jambalaya.
Gotcha.
But I did have the gumbo, which was like sausage gumbo and chicken gumbo and stuff. And I will say, so good. I love gumbo so much. It is wonderful. And so whenever I'm here, I always get a ton of gumbo. Am I
Yes.
actually eating the gumbo? No, but I'm eating it in spirit.
Do you put the
Through
hot sauce
Bess.
on it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you put on too much hot sauce, Bess burps fire. Fun fact. Please do that next time you play this game. But anyway, you can go to talk to Gilbert Buford, and this conversation makes me slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's also like, I don't know, there's a lot of flirty old men that I've had to deal with in my life, so
That's fair.
yeah, it's just
He
like,
also-
maybe stop flirting with an 18-year-old? I don't
Yeah.
know.
He also talks far too much.
I do like listening to some of the stuff he does say, though. Like, he's a very interesting character to talk to.
Yeah, he has lots of info, but I feel like it feels like
Mhm.
too much sometimes.
Yeah, the voice actor did a very good job for him, though.
Oh, yeah.
All of the voice actors did so well in this game. Like,
I do
they
think
added so
Dr.
much to
Buford
it.
sounds the most authentically like New Orleans Southern though.
yeah. And I love Bruno. I'm not Bruno. I love Henry. And some people are like, why doesn't Henry have an accent? Well, not everybody who lives there has an accent.
I live in the South and
and-
I don't think
yeah.
I really have an accent.
No, you have. Yeah, you just have what you would consider like the typical American accent.
Yeah.
Um,
So
and then
I mean
yeah.
I've grown up in the South, so it's not like I mean I've been here my whole life. And it can come out sometimes, but I think for the most part
Yeah.
I don't really have much of an accent.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I do hear it like sneak out of you sometimes, but usually it's not that much of an accent. But yeah, but like Henry also his entire life was sent to boarding schools. So like he wouldn't have much of a chance to grow up in New Orleans as much. So that's why he doesn't have an accent because he never really lived in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So poor kid, just
Poor
shipped out
guy.
all the time. I love him. I want to give him a hug.
Yeah, I was going to
You
say
know?
he just needs a hug. I want to like bake him some cookies or something, you know.
I want to take him out to Thai food.
Oh, he'd probably like
Sorry,
that.
I'm craving Thai food right now.
That sounds good.
But yeah. But yes, I think he deserves some nice Thai food and some cookies. But then you can go with Bess and you can talk to him about like, oh, how did you find Mr. Bolet? And he's like, oh, he was on the floor and Renee Amon had called and I came in. Oh, I just dropped my mic.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. But anyway, and he's like, oh yeah, I dropped Bruno was holding on to some letter, and Bess is like, wait, but there's no letter with anything else. Nobody found that letter. And he's like, oh, Iggy. And Bess is like, what's Icky? And he's like, no, Iggy, the iguana. He steals paper. And so Bess is like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And
It doesn't
then-
really, but okay.
yeah. So you can call Nancy about it and tell her about the letter being stolen and how he's clutching that when he was dead and stuff. And so Nancy is like, cool, nice information. And so now as Nancy, you can go to the portraits. And remember that piece of paper that we found in the book that has like
Yes, with the letters.
the dots and the letters? Well, each one of those weird objects that the people in the portraits are holding is part of a puzzle. And so you can just, put everything together to match the first letters of each word to the things on the letters on the note. And suddenly, on the other side of the room, a little secret door opens. And
Secret
what are we going to do?
Sorry.
Hee hee hee. What? Secret tunnel!
Through the
Secret-
mountain.
Secret tunnel.
We're crossing over. Sorry.
Yes. Oh, we should do an Avatar crossover episode.
We should do an episode where we assign characters what nation we think they would be.
Yes.
That'd be fun.
I'm thinking automatically that like Nancy's Earth because reasons. I don't know. We'll decide it. We'll decide.
Okay.
But anyway, so you go into the secret tunnel, the little secret passage, and you overhear a phone call
Oh,
between Henry and his girlfriend, Summer.
Summer.
I hate Summer.
I hate Summer.
I hate her. I just
She is. It's funny how much distaste I can have for a character that we never see or talk to.
no, we don't even hear her. We just hear
Right.
how Henry talks about her and stuff, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't know you want all the stuff. Okay, I'll get you like the TV, or I'll get you the CD that you want. It's okay. Just don't get mad. Okay, I'll fix this." And I'm like, "Boy, she is using you. Like he is just."
Henry
I want
deserves better.
he deserves better. But then, and you can tell that like she was like yelling at him or something, and he is like, "Oh, this is terrible." But then there's also like after that, there's this little magnifying glass like peephole binocular thing where it like zooms into something. And so you can little press that little switch thing and you can zoom in and it shows you this book that's called The Eye of the Beholder. Gee, I wonder if there's an eyeball hidden in that. And then you can go up the stairs, and there is a weird symbol on the lock, and it's this spider web, and it has markings on different parts of the web. Like one has 2 markings, one has 3. It's basically like giving you an order of how to play it. And so you can go down to the fountain in the garden, and you can. And there's this little hole in it with the spider. And I will tell you, as a child, that spider scared the crap out of me. Arachnophobia is not fun.
Yeah.
So
I've streamed this game before, and I always try to be conscious about people who may not be familiar with the game, and try to like warn people like, hey, if you have arachnophobia, I would suggest you look away.
yeah, like it made me very uncomfortable. But here's the weird thing with me and fictional creatures that I have phobias of. Like if I see a spider in real life, or like worse, a snake, I am not well at all. But if I see it like in a video game, if it's okay. So, for example, one of my favorite video games ever is Assassin's Creed Origins, and there's this really big scene where you're in like this dream world and you're fighting a giant snake. Does that bother me? No. But do all the little snakes that I encounter out in the wild bother me? Yes. I will squeak and scream a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll set them on fire. And that's how I am about this game too. Like I play Skyrim a lot too, and that has these giant spiders. But those don't bother me. But this tiny little spider in Nancy Drew Legend of the Crystal Skull, that bothers the heck out of me.
Yeah.
Which I don't get. Maybe it's like suspension of disbelief.
Sure.
Like, is a giant spider the size of a house actually going to attack me in real life? No. But will a little spider in a crevice that possibly has something that I want, could that happen? Yes. And so that thing just ugh. Yeah, but anyway, you can play the notes, and the spider hears that and moves out of the way, which I'm assuming the spider is one of Bruno Bolle's many exotic pets. Because you hear from
It has to
Henry
be.
that that Bruno Bolle had a lot of weird pets that he would train to do weird things. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's weird. He's a weird dude.
Yeah.
First, we have, living on a cemetery, and also being a dentist, and also having only one eye and using glass eyes and the other eye that do not look like normal eyes. They're all freaky. And then also, just everything about Bruno Bolle is freaky, and,
Yeah.
I'm here for it. It's fun. But then you can take that key and you can go up into the secret passage again, and the stairs, and there is, like, this secret little room of Bruno's is so fun and freaky. I just love it. Like, first thing you see is this little, what is it called? The little game with the balls.
Skee-ball?
Where skee ball. Yeah, skee ball. And, like, you can use that to play the game, and if you land on a chicken, if you make everything land on a chicken, you get an Easter egg. If you make everything land on an eye, you get an eyeball. And so you take that and you put it in your pocket and with the other eyeballs that you found. Then you can turn around and there is a dummy. One of those freaky puppet dummies.
Yeah.
And it's dressed like a pirate. And it's got this little contraption around it that has all these syllables that look very familiar. The voodoo book. And you're like, I wonder what this does. And if you press a syllable and then you press talk, the dummy will say whatever syllables you pressed. Yeah. And it is freaky.
Faza lupa di muka.
Yeah. So you can put that in, and then the eyeball socket opens, and you can get there's a coin in it. There is a what is it? I think there isn't there an eyeball in it? Yeah, you get an eyeball from it. Yeah,
there's a piece of paper with like a puzzle.
Yeah. Oh, the scavenger hunt puzzle. Mm-hmm. We'll get to that. But there's also a vent, and that is the vent where Iggy hangs out and just vibes. And you can entice him out with a loquat. And dress him up and stuff, but that isn't important to the story yet. It will be. But then you also go to Bruno Ballet's desk. And there is a lot of stuff on his desk that are clues for other stuff, but what we are really focusing on right now is this book that he has. That's a bunch of these stories called Short Stories for Tired Eyes. And these are all... They're just all like clues and instructions on how to find all of his glass eyeballs. And it is very convoluted and crazy and puzzly, but so Nancy Drew, and I love it so much. And so you basically use that as your guidebook for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
And then you can also look at the photos there. And there is a photo of the Jolly Roger crew from New Orleans, and they are inducting Bruno into the crew in this picture. And I'm pretty sure that's like it looks like an unused character model for Tino Balducci.
Yeah, like, I never noticed that before, but I guess you're kind of right.
Yeah, it looks like that to me. It's like something cradles, some physics dude's cradle. Let me see. Okay, was it Newton's cradle?
Newton's cradle, I think that's what it is. Yeah.
Newton's cradle. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it has a Newton's cradle, but one of the little ball things on it is a glass eye, and so you can grab the eye when it comes around. It's fun.
It's kind of like grabbing the brass ring in Haunted Carousel.
Yeah, and then there's this one thing that always freaked me out. And it's the Jack in the Box.
Oh yeah.
I think it's da 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 da, and then it pops out. I think that's it. Yeah. But then that tells you the notes that you need to press technically you're using a mouse, so
yeah, kind of.
You need to get a glass eyeball from the spider. That's fun. There's also a gumball thing that you can use. And Nancy eats the gumball. And I'm just like, Nancy, you do not know how long
that's probably
those gumballs have been there. That is an old dusty gumball. Like, dang, girl. What? Why would you eat that? Like, I love Nancy, but I cannot defend her sometimes. The gumball. But she can also put that coin that she found. Wait, is the coin from the dummy's head or from something later on? Yeah, it's from the mummy's, the dummy's head. Yeah. So she puts the coin from the dummy's head, and it's yeah. You open up the gumball thing gives you an eyeball.
Yeah.
Nancy doesn't put this one in her mouth, luckily.
Thank
Thankfully, yeah.
Can you imagine if
Then you
Nancy
can.
put one of the glass eyes that Bruno Beaulais had in his head in her mouth?
No, here's one of the things, because, like, people are like, did Bruno clean off his glass eyes before he put them away? And so when I made my Cards Against Nancy Drew game, one of the cards is 25 fresh out of the socket glass eyeballs. Because we don't know if he washed them off before he put them places. So,
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
yeah, there's a lot of things in this game. I love this game so much. It's so weird. But then you can go around and solve a ton of puzzles. Like there's the teeth book puzzles, there's the library tale puzzles, there's the there's a lot of there's the clock puzzles and
Yeah.
stuff. But
Which I
and
don't
then
think
you
we
can
really
go
have to like dive deep into all of these puzzles, but like they're all puzzles that you can do and you earn eyes for doing them.
earn eyes. You gain
Yeah.
the glass eyeballs. Yeah, and then you can talk to Renee and ask her about that shovel because there's that shovel that is on the wall. It's like the skeleton-looking shovel, and it was mentioned in the book. And so you ask her if you can borrow it, and she's like, "Yeah, you can borrow it. Just give me the 5 painted conch mushrooms." And so you can go around and find these, and then one of the ones that you find is on this log out by the river. So you go onto the river and you step on the log and you get the mushroom and the log hits the water and then up pops an alligator. Yay!
Bernie!
And he's like, ah, the little gator roar. And Nancy's like, oh my god! And so she runs away and then she goes to Renee and she's like, I almost got eaten by a gator. And she's like, oh, that's just Bernie. He likes marshmallows.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, like, okay, let me look it up, but I thought I heard that gators like marshmallows. Okay, gators like marshmallows. Is that true? Yeah, apparently there are some gators that will do tricks for marshmallows
Huh, weird.
and stuff. Yeah, and there's people are like, why do alligators like marshmallows? Some people say they look like eggs, and so that's why alligators like them. But
I'm
yeah,
getting
and
a weird,
so
really weird sense of deja vu right now.
I'm trying to think of which K-pop deja vu song should I sing.
I
Like-
feel like I've sat here before and talked to you about mushrooms looking like eggs.
I don't think I've had that before, but maybe you're just prophetic. I don't know.
What the heck? Okay, anyway, sorry.
You have prophesized our marshmallow egg conversation.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyway, so then you can go and do the scavenger hunt. And the scavenger hunt, you basically find there's clues for the scavenger hunt, and you write them down on the paper, but then you match the clue to a name in the book of all the people buried there. And it's so fun because the first one is the last denizen buried on my ground. You will start a hunting through the graveyard. What's written on the headstone will lead you to another, and so on and so forth till tiny treasure you discover. And so you have Tammy Tasselman, and so you find that at Terra Siesta, and then her grave marker thing says, couldn't sleep without a peep, so when she died we buried her deep. And then you look in the book of names, and you find constant snoring, and this was one of my favorite things as a kid. Like, this puzzle made me laugh so much.
All of the puns.
It's just name puns. And one of my favorite ones is the riddle is a stand-up person, and the name is Kneel Down. Mm-hmm. And Nancy's like, I sure hope he's lying down right now.
I know, and you're like, oh my gosh, Nancy.
Yeah. And then after you finish that, with the name Polyester Givens, whose riddle was she would have given you the shirt off her back. I love that name.
Mm-hmm.
But then on her little placard thing, it says, "Same name as my dog at 10, moved from his grave, then buried again." And now you're like, oh, Bess had a picture of this dog. And so you can call Bess about it and ask her to look at the picture of the dog and see if there's a name. She's like, yeah, well, there was a name, but it's covered up. And she's like, can you please get me the name, Bess? And Bess is like, no, I don't want to. Okay, fine. And she does. And she talks to Lamont, and she tries to see if she can go to the back room. He's like, yeah, sorry. Then she's like, yeah, and I want to apologize. And, because I feel really bad for hurting you. So, like, what can I do to make it up for you? And he's like, well, some of that gumbo outside is really good. Just don't put any of the hot sauce on it, because it gives my stomach fits. IBS King. I love him. IBS King. I love him. But then you can get... Bess is so mean. Bess is so mean.
It's so mean.
She
Bess
puts
is
the hot
literally
sauce.
so mean to Lamont.
She puts the hot sauce on the gumbo and makes him sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so he has to go to the bathroom. And he's in pain. And I'm like, girl, what did you do to him?
Yeah.
Poor Lamont. Poor Lamont. So then you can go and talk to the, not talk to, what? You can get to the photo and remove the frame, and the name was Grant. The dog's name was Grant. And Nancy and Bess both make a comment of, that is a really weird name to name a dog. I've heard weirder names.
Human.
Yeah, it is too human. It's like naming
It'd be like
your
if
dog,
if I got a puppy and I named her
Karen is, yeah. Or like Matthew.
Rosemary.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Rosemary could actually be cute.
Okay, maybe.
You would make that like Rosie and stuff.
Karen.
Yeah, that was the first name I said, because can you imagine a dog named Karen?
Yeah, that would actually be kind of funny.
That should be my next horse name that I use in Red Dead Redemption 2. Karen.
Love
yeah,
it.
the current horse name that I have right now is Fruit Fly, but
I like it.
yeah. So anyway, you can go and get we have one person who has the name Grant. So you can go there and there's a little box. And inside there is one of the eyeballs and a little pirate hat.
A little tiny
which
pirate
we
hat.
use for Iggy. And okay. To get the stuff from Iggy, to get Iggy to dress up and give you stuff, you have to get a loquat from the tree that's covered in hornets. And I hate this puzzle.
This puzzle is so difficult without a mouse. It
is so difficult with them.
If you're playing on a laptop with a trackpad, it is excruciating.
That's what I am doing. That's how I play this game.
Excruciating.
However, the first time I played this game, I did have the computer that had a touch screen, and so I would just tap the screen, and it was super easy. But if I ever do it with a trackpad, I will cry.
Yeah.
I will actually cry. But anyway, so you can also go to before you dress up Iggy and stuff and suffer through the loquats, you can take the shovel and you can go to that one big field meadow place where they bury people, and then you can go around, and every step you take, the skeleton numbers have, it counts down, your steps.
Yeah. And
there's this, stone that has, west, north, east, west, north, south, whatever, these, directions that you go, and so it basically, you know where to move, but you don't know how many steps, and so the skeleton hand on the shovel counts down for you. Yeah. So eventually you go there, it's so complicated, so convoluted, I love it, and eventually you go and you find a box, you dig up a little box, and when you open it, you break the shovel, rip that shovel, but you do get an eyeball, so there's that. Um, but then you can go to, there's also the buzzards puzzle, which, would you believe it? When the first time I played this game, I solved it in one go.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I solved it in one go, and I didn't even know what it was.
The
Like, it was so funny.
For me, I just keep clicking until it happens.
Yeah, you click and see what happens. But I was just clicking randomly, just having fun, and I was like, oh, the little feathers go up and down, that's fun, and so then I solved it, and I was like, I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah.
And then I opened the things up, and I was like, there are eyeballs. What is happening? Because that was like one of the very first puzzles I solved the first time I played this game.
Nice.
And I still don't know how I did that. I just know that it was very memorable, and I had no idea what was going on. I was like, why are there eyeballs?
Like you didn't know the reason behind any of it yet?
No, I didn't yet, and so I was very confused as to why there were eyeballs. Which I guess is everybody's awakening this game. You find an eyeball, and you're like, why am I taking this eyeball? But, like, imagine Nancy, because Nancy is actually, like, grabbing these eyeballs. Like, she doesn't know if there's a use for them yet, but she takes them anyway.
Yeah.
Like, she has issues. I love her, but she has issues.
Right.
Yeah, so then you can also take... See, the thing that kills me about the loquats puzzle is that you can't ever take more than one loquat.
I know.
You can only take one. And so you take the loquat, and then you go up, and you have to dress up Iggy, and depending on what you dress him up as, you get something. Like, if you put on the mail carrier costume, he gives you the letter that, Bruno Bollet had when he died. If you dress him up in the pirate costume, he gives you the Jolly Roger crew box. If you put him in the optometrist outfit, he gives you the eyeball. Mm-hmm. And if you dress him up as a clown, he gives you nothing.
I know. April Fools.
We're the actual clowns.
Yeah.
Like,
he said, let me make you look silly today.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, so you can go to the, yeah, so you look at the box that Iggy gives you, and it says, on top of it, it has, like, all these letters and stuff that you have to press, and it says, the name that opens every Jolly Roger meeting opens me. And so you're like, okay, so we gotta go to a Jolly Roger meeting. Gasp! There's a meeting tonight in Bruno's planner! And so you can go to the planner and find that it's basically the same place that Bess is at. And she's like, hey, and Nancy's like, hey, Bess, can you do one more favor for me? And Bess is like, oh, I don't want to. Fine. And so this is the craziest one, though. Like, it's crazy. But anyway, Bess has to break into Zeke's and steal the skeleton costume, put it on, and then she goes out to the door and she answers the password, which is scuttled bones. And I will never forget that.
Never.
I
think
have,
this whole scene is very memorable.
It is very memorable. Like, it freaked me out so much as a kid. Like, I thought they were gonna kill Bess. Because you go into the meeting and they're like, we will not be silenced by the city who doesn't like us, and blah, 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 blah. And they're like, Jean Lafitte, Jean Lafitte, Jean Lafitte. And then halfway during the guy's speech, Bess is like, hey, I know that voice. That's Gilbert Buford. And then her phone goes off. And Bess is like, oh, shoot, my phone. And then all the guys turn around to her, and it's really creepy. And they're like, hovering over her and stuff. Then Bess is like taken into a room, like her head is covered up, and then she's like being interrogated by the head skeleton man, and he's like, well, looky here, and she's like, I know it's you, Dr. Buford. And he's like, okay. And then she basically starts being like, I'm gonna tell everybody about your weird stuff that you do if you don't blah, 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 blah. You could be a murderer. And he's like, okay, let's get her
talk
out of
about
here.
this somewhere
We're done.
else. Okay, ha ha ha.
Goodbye. I'm like, Bess is a queen for that.
Mm-hmm.
But then she calls Nancy and tells her everything she learned, and she's like, oh no, I also told Dr. Buford, that you were also really on the verge of finding the crystal skull. What if he's after it? What if he's the person who's after it? Now he knows that you're after it too. And Nancy's like, I'm fine. And then the line goes dead on the phone. So Bess can't call anybody. So you can't call Bess. I think you can call Ned after this, but you can also call Chaz Milo, who is the person on the letter who authenticated the crystal skull. And the entire time he's working out. Like, he's at the gym at the phone call, and he's on the treadmill.
Yeah.
And so Nancy's like,
stop,
hey!
You know?
Yeah. And so you read the letter, and you're like, hey, I just wanted to ask you about the crystal skull that you said was a fake. And he's like, no, that was real. And she's like, huh? But it says in this letter that it's a fake. And he's like, no. Well, the letter I sent Bruno said it was real. Yeah, it was completely real. And she's like, did you do, like, carbon dating? And I always remember this. He's like, no carbon means no carbon dating. I always remember that. But yeah, and you can talk to him about it, and it's like, that's very, very intriguing. So, it was real. Interesting. Yes, then you can, depending on if you have all of the eyeballs or not, you can go to the safe in the wall of Bruno's secret study, and you can open it up. It has like a kraken and a pirate ship on it and stuff. And so you open that, and you have to push each eyeball in a different direction and stuff. And so that's complicated, but also fun. And so when you open that up, you get this little instruction thing. It's like this little paper that has instructions on how to do something. No words, just sketches. And then there's this giant eyeball thing. It's like
the big jewel eyeball.
Yeah, that one. And I actually think it's really cool.
I do too.
Like, I don't know, it's cool. And then you can you can tell people about it and stuff. But then you go to the thing. There's also a lightning rod on top of the thing, on top of one of the walls to the cemetery. And I never realized that was supposed to be grabbed later in the game until like my third playthrough.
I always grab it in
fourth.
the beginning and hold on to it in my pocket.
Yeah, that's what I do. Cause like, I don't know.
Nancy has this giant lightning rod just like hanging out of her pocket.
Yeah. So there's that. And then you go and you set up the lightning rod at this place at the crypt, and then lightning strikes, and there's like this little like elevator thing, and so you can go down into the crypt, and there it is, the crystal skull, and you're like, oh my gosh, I found it! And then you're like, okay, cool, and then Renee Amon comes out, and she's like, Nancy, what's going on in there? And she's like, I found the crystal skull. And she's like, cool, toss it up, and then I'll help you up. And so Nancy tosses it to Renee.
Because Nancy's an idiot.
And Renee just looks at the skull. Okay, right now, I'm like, Nancy, you fit 25 glass eyeballs in your inventory. Could you not just put the crystal skull there, too?
I know. You held on to the lightning rod in your pocket for almost the entire game.
Like, because, like, if she's using, like, a bag or, like, a backpack or something, she could just put it in there. Yep. But also, there is my little theory sometimes, that she just has pockets, like cargo pants. Her mom jeans have a ton of pockets.
Yeah.
And that's why she puts in a bunch of tiny weird stuff in her pants, in her pockets. So, like, butter and orange. This letter blackmailing somebody. Speaking of blackmailing, I forgot.
Oh, about Nancy blackmailing Henry?
Yeah! She blackmails Henry Boulay.
She's rude.
She's terrible. Like, she's like, if you don't give me that glass eyeball on that keychain, then I'm going to blackmail you, and I'm going to tell everybody that you're doing shady stuff. And he's like, okay, please take it. I don't know. Go away.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Nancy tosses up the skull to Renee. Renee catches it, and Renee's like, ha ha ha. I'm gonna take it. Bye, Nancy. And so she leaves, and Nancy has to solve this matching puzzle thing to get back up. But this trick about this matching puzzle is that the only way you can see the stuff is through the lightning strikes. Ciao. So, like, every once in a while, like, the lightning will strike, and you'll have a flash of light, and that is the only chance you will see the little symbols that you have to match up. And so it takes a while. Then you can get back up, and you can see muddy footprints, and so you follow the footprints down to the river. Is it a river or a bayou? I don't know.
The swamp.
I get them mixed up. Both, yeah, maybe. I don't know, but then you go over, and Renee has this, she's in this little boat, and she's like, I will put the crystal skulls together, and when they start conversing, blah, 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 blah. And in this part, it's like one of those timed response things. Mm-hmm. And so if you at the right moment, you have to click the log. And if you don't, Renee escapes. But if you do click the log, Bernie the alligator comes up, and he wants marshmallows. So he opens his mouth and scares Renee, and Renee flies back, throws the crystal skull up in the air, and Bernie eats it.
Yay!
Oh my gosh! Girl dinner! So that happens, and Renee is very sad about that. And she's also arrested for... What was she arrested for? Was it, like... Yeah, because, like, what she did is she gave Bruno Bollet the fake letter, which gave him a heart attack.
Yeah.
And so I guess...
So it's like, I don't know, is that involuntary manslaughter?
Yeah, something like that. Like, she caused his death or something. And she also did other stuff, I guess. But, yeah, and then there was also attempted murder, too, with Nancy.
Yeah.
So, there's also that. But then we have a happy ending.
We have a happy ending.
We have Gilbert Buford saying, I reflect on my actions, and now I'm going to give you guys a tour of New Orleans. Which, if he truly did reflect on his actions, cool. I'm still not trusting him, but he does know all the best gumbo places, so there is that.
True.
And Lamont is now traveling the rivers and bayous to find Bernie, and he has marshmallows, so he can get Bernie to eat the marshmallows, and maybe he'll give him the skull. I don't know what Lamont's going for, but Lamont's having fun, and, you know, I support
He's a local
Lamont.
business owner.
a local small business owner. Exactly. And then Henry Bollet, my boy, is looking over the cemetery, sitting down in the grass, and looking out solemnly, just like, wow, my uncle really did love me. Because Bruno was going to give him the crystal skull, which was his most prized possession. He wanted Henry to have that. And he was like, even if Uncle Bruno just didn't ever tell me he loved me, he did love me anyway. Just in his own way, and so he's kind of like trying to grapple with that and stuff. I also really hope he broke up with Summer.
Me too.
Anyway, so, and that's the game, and I love it so much.
It's very good.
It is such a fun game. It is such a good game. And I love it. Like, is the story the most impressive? No, but is it still, like, one of my favorites? It's such a fun game, you know?
Yeah.
I can't, yeah.
So do you want to talk about characters and dialogue and anything specific there?
Yes, I love the characters and dialogue in this game. Like, even though, as people, I don't like Gilbert Buford and Renee Amond, I still love talking to them because they're interesting. You know? They have fun things that they say. They have nice accents to listen to.
I like all the characters. I don't think that they are necessarily, like in some games, it's like the characters are, like, so memorable, and I don't want to say these characters are not memorable. I think they are.
Yeah.
But I think that like the nature of this game and its story and atmosphere kind of lends itself to like quirky but not like exuberantly so.
Yeah,
Like
not like
nobody in
unbelievably
this
quirky, yeah.
Yeah, there's like nobody in the cast here that's like loud or obnoxious or like energetic. Like they're all a
Yeah.
little bit subdued. And but they all still, I think they just fit. Like they fit the rest of the setting really well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good one. And now we can move on to I want to hit music last.
Okay, so
Actually no,
puzzles?
maybe atmosphere and setting last.
Okay,
So
so
let's do puzzles. Puzzles, then music, then atmosphere.
Okay.
The puzzles slap.
I think that this game is actually one of the best Nancy games in terms of puzzles.
It has so many good ones.
I would say it's probably like top 3 or top 5 at least for me in regards to
Yeah.
like puzzles only. If I was just going by like ranking games by like how good I think the puzzles are. This game is really puzzle heavy. So this is not a game that I recommend a lot for a brand new Nancy Drew player.
Yeah, I know.
Because I think it could be overwhelming, just the amount of puzzles there are. And some of the puzzles are kind of vague and slightly difficult. It's never frustratingly so, but I think it could be overwhelming to somebody who's not familiar with the series. So this is not one that I typically recommend unless you've already played a couple Nancys before. But that doesn't mean I think it's a negative. I just think that it's like overall it's just really puzzle heavy. So you have to like enjoy puzzles, I think, to enjoy a good majority of this game.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Sea of Darkness and Trail of the Twister, because those are both super heavy puzzle games as well.
And Shadow at the Water's Edge as well, for me.
Yeah, and I love all those games so much because I do love the puzzles.
Me too.
I think they're so fun.
Labyrinth of Lies, too, now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, that has some puzzles that make me want to punch the screen, though, so...
Oh, okay, well, I guess we'll talk about that when we get there.
I got that. But I will say the pomegranate puzzle in that game, literally perfect. Anyway, so back to this game. Puzzles are amazing. I love them. They're so good.
What's your favorite puzzle in this game?
My favorite puzzle? Oh, the scavenger hunt. I'm gonna count that as a puzzle and say the scavenger hunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
wait.
favorite puzzle...
The chain reaction one. The chain reaction one.
Oh, the Rube Goldberg.
Yes.
Yeah. I think my favorite puzzle is... Oh, boy. I kind of like the little one where you, like, kick the marble around. I think that one's pretty fun.
Yeah, I love that one.
And also, I like putting books back into their, like, a space. Like, I just like spatial puzzles like that where you have to, like, fit everything into a box. I know this is not the first time it's been done in the series, but I still like it.
I'm gonna have to add that one up there, yeah. That's another good one. The puzzles are just so good. Okay, now we have to talk about the music.
Okay, I'll let you go. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, this game has one of my favorite soundtracks out of all of the Nancy Drew games. Like, this is so good. I love New Orleans jazz. Like, I love jazz in general, but like New Orleans jazz, like that style of jazz just hits different, you know? It's more lively, it's so good. But you have a lot of that in the soundtrack. You also have like the more spookier sounds and stuff. But I cannot choose a favorite track. Maybe Bruno. I like Bruno. I also like Jangle. That's another good track.
Yeah.
There's so many good tracks in this game. There's just so many, and I cannot choose. They're just all so amazing, and they blend into the background so perfectly. Like, even if there is like a lively jazz sound playing, it does not like feel like you're listening to music. It feels like it's just part of the environment, you know? It just fits so perfectly. And I'm gonna say it. Kevin Manthe.
More like.
More like Kevin Manslay. I love him. Thank
We
you.
love you, Kevin, if you ever hear this.
We love you, Kevin.
Thank you for all of your work.
Yes. Yeah, so that is just an amazing music. Like, what do you think about the music?
I really like the music. I agree. I think it's very seamless to the game. Everything fits the atmospheres and puzzles. I don't know what my favorite track is. I really like Legend.
That's another good one.
And I like Bruno too. I think those are really good.
Yeah.
Maybe Bones as well. I like Bones.
Oh, they're all so good.
They're also good. But yeah, I have no complaints about the music. I do think that the rain effect when you're outside can sometimes be a little too loud, and it does drown some of the music out. I like softer parts of the music. I don't necessarily think that's a critique, because the rain does add a lot to the like atmosphere. But sometimes when I'm playing, I'm like, man, I just wish it wasn't like raining right now so that I could just listen to the music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, for me, the rain adds to the atmosphere. Like, if I can't perfectly hear part of the music over the rain, like, that's fine for me. Because, like, you know, it just adds to it, you know?
Yeah.
I just love environmental sounds.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess that's why I'm so glad that, like, the soundtracks are on YouTube and stuff, because if I'm like, well, I just want to listen to the music, then I'll just go on YouTube and listen to it.
Yeah, I actually have the tracks Jangle and Bruno downloaded on my phone.
Nice.
Because you never know when you need to dance to Jangle
a little
or vibe to Bruno, you know? But yeah, so that's a good one. Let's move on to the atmosphere and setting.
Pristine.
Perfect. It's
just absolutely pristine. I think this is definitely, I think everybody would agree, this is definitely one of the darker, like this falls into like the darker side of Nancy Drew aesthetically, and setting wise, and just kind of overall mood. And I think it pulls it off so well. It really does. There's kind of like a weird like mystique, I guess, to the setting of New Orleans. And I think it's because like there's so much like culture and history behind New Orleans as a city and the people of New Orleans. And so I think it adds to the sort of mysteriousness that you want in a mystery game, to have it placed in a city like that, especially at night, and with so much of the like New Orleans jazz influences in the music. I think it just overall adds.
It's just, I love, you know, the aesthetic of rain at night. That's one of my favorite aesthetics. It's just so, I love it. But then you put that with jazz music and have a mystery and New Orleans and a cemetery.
Right.
That's like, the vibes are there and they are amazing. And then you add on like all the other things to it. Like you have like the gumbo stand, you have the weird things in the house, you have, you know, the mushrooms, you have the alligator, you have the crypt. You know, all these little details in it, and it's so well done. Just the atmosphere and setting is probably top 3 for me. Like, my favorite game is a cross between Curse of Blackmore Manor and Shadow at the Water's Edge, but I think the setting of Legend of the Crystal Skull is up there with my favorite settings with those 3 games. Like, at like maybe in the same place as all of those, because it's just so good and immersive.
Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, it's such a good setting, and it is, I will say this game is probably in my top 10. Because I love it so much. You know, it's very good. The vibes!
The
I am very
vibes.
passionate about this game. I love this game. It is so good.
It is very good.
Well, so, those are my thoughts on the atmosphere and setting.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll talk about like overall rank for you. Like rank it out of 10.
Oh, okay. This might seem high for some people for it, but like I'm gonna rank it a 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay. All right.
Because it is just I don't know what game is going to be a 10 out of 10 for me, aside from Curse of Blackmore Manor and Shadow of the Water's Edge, in like, you know, my own personal perspective. But like when I rank a game 9 out of 10, I really like it. Like,
Okay.
I love this game.
I was consulting my all games ranked list to see where I had last time I updated this, where I've put this. And for me, I put Legend of Crystal Skull at number 12. So a little bit lower than I thought it was going to be, but I'm looking at the games that are above it, and they are games that I just absolutely adore. So,
Yeah.
So I get it. I think for me, I'm not going to be quite as high as you. I think I'm going to land it at around 7.5 out of 10 for me.
It's still a really good game.
Yeah, it's still really good. I
just
definitely don't want my score to make it sound like I dislike
Yeah.
anything of it. I think there are just other games that I'm attached to a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I really play this game when I'm in the mood for something super puzzle heavy, and sometimes I'm just not in that mood. And if I try to play this game when I'm not in the mood for something puzzle heavy, it can get a little frustrating. But so I just don't revisit it as often as I do some other titles. So again, it's not critiques or any sort of slam against the game, but I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna be right around 7.5-ish.
Yeah, I love this game so much. And like even if I am not in a puzzle heavy mood, sometimes I will just play this game because I want to be in the environment. You
That's
know,
fair.
and I want like the music and the mystery and stuff. And so I will just get out my handy dandy notebook and just do the puzzles based off of that because I have all the answers with me anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a good game, and I do adore it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, any final thoughts?
You like jazz? I don't know. Jazz, and I love this game, and I really want to eat gumbo now, but I don't have any gumbo on hand.
I was literally just thinking about how much I want beignets now.
Oh, okay. Now I'm thinking about beignets.
Have a good rest of the day. We'll be back in a couple weeks. And, of course, let us know feedback if there's anything that you could suggest to improve the episodes or overall listening experience. Just let us know. But
I have one final thought.
Okay, go
one
ahead.
final thought that I forgot. You know the gumbo stand where you get the gumbo and stuff?
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going with
Does the
this.
model look familiar?
Yeah, it's our boy Shorty. Bald is beautiful. This
Yes,
is a baldy. We're the baldy detectives.
We're the baldy detectives. our lovely April Fool's joke. Yeah.
Thank you guys for humoring us with that too.
Yes. Anyway, yeah, that was just my last final thought. Anyway, bye.
Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.